Welcome to the Out on a Limb podcast. We are all interconnected to a greater web of consciousness. Our aim is to open your mind to a new world through having open-minded discussions about what we perceive our reality to be.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Out on a Limb podcast with your hosts, Will, Allison, and Samantha, where we have another stream of consciousness because it's been a couple weeks since we've been together and there is a lot to talk about. Not for you guys, because you see us every week.
Yep.
But we don't get to see each other every week.
Why is it we always laugh? Like
I don't know.
When we're popping in?
No, as you do the intro, it's just like
We
I want to
always
giggle.
just-
I want to giggle or laugh. I don't know.
And it's not what you're doing.
Are they laughing
No.
at
It's
me or are
just-
they laughing
no,
with me?
It's I guess the energy,
It's
it's like, oh, we get to play. I don't know. It's just funny.
Well,
all
I'll tell
good.
you what is also fun and exciting is that we won finalist in the spiritual and religious category for the American Writing Awards Podcast of the Year 2025.
You don't have one of those.
No.
We're not doing that to our audience again.
No, we're not going to torture him with
But
that.
you can see there, he's going to put up our
Yeah.
our little sticker there.
That's
and
really
you
cool.
probably noticed, you might have noticed it before we announced it today, because we pre-taped some things. So
Yep.
you probably saw it on the intro.
On
On
this
the, what do they
last,
call it? The
on this-
thumbnail.
Yeah, this last one that went out.
Oh, so you're adding it already.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
The ones that have gone out in, some of them that have gone out in March.
March. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
March. Yep.
So you saw that. We're super excited. We entered on a whim and found out we won finalist.
Yep.
And so we're on their website, American Writing Awards website. And when you click on it, it takes you to our podcast. So hopefully we'll have lots of exposure and people will get to see our conversations.
That's so cool.
It is cool, right?
Yeah.
It's rewarding. I mean, we don't do this for the awards. You guys know that. We do this for the conversations because we love talking about all of this and sharing it with you guys because it's so exciting. So it's nice, though, that somebody's paying attention and notice the hard work that goes into it because it is a lot of work. Between you driving up here and Will trying to
Yeah.
get the technology straight and me trying
That's
to find
commitment.
exciting guests for you guys.
Yeah, there's stuff going on
Yeah.
there.
A lot of
Yeah.
stuff going on always.
But at the point at which it is no longer fun, we probably won't do it anymore because why the life's too short, right? But this is a
can't
blast. I love it.
imagine
I
No,
can't
I-
either.
yeah.
Right now I can't. It's fun. We love it.
Yep.
In fact, I was going to talk about this later in the show, but you're going to be traveling soon, and so we're kind of trying to pile up some shows for
Trying to
you
bank
guys
some shows.
because
Yep.
she'll be traveling out west. I don't know how much you want to say about
But
that.
some of these we can't bank, like the Oracle stuff. Obviously we're going to wait till the energy is right before that month. So I might be a guest on the podcast. You two hear me on the other side.
Tuning in with her cat
Yeah.
from her car.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be actually kind of cool, I
Right,
think.
right.
It just so we're looking at some different, configurations of this sort of thing, and I think it's going to work. But
Or
yeah,
we may have to interview somebody without Samantha one time or something. We only had to do that one other time because this one likes to travel so much. I mean, traveling's fine, and we
Well,
can work
it's-
around it. But when you go for long,
I was going to say it's
stints-
long periods of time. That's
yeah.
weeks on end.
so this one, should I talk about it? Should I mention it?
Go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah,
Now.
if you want.
So this trip, people, they plan and they save and then they go on these amazing adventures. And I have done none of that. This is something that's been building up inside of me. It's been this nudge that I've had. I feel like I'm being like a little bird thrown out of the
Yeah.
nest. It's like, just do it. And, the question has been why? What's going to happen? I literally have no idea. And so I keep referring to it as like a trust walk. It's, I'm going to step out, I'm going to do it, and then I'll know what the whole thing's about.
Right.
But I'm not going to know.
Till the end, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it is getting clear. Like, it was funny because, when I think about it, I immediately order on Amazon some super strong magnets. And Rob's like, okay, here's another package. Here's another package.
Right.
And he's like, how are you paying for this stuff? And I looked at him like, I don't really know, but the money just keeps coming in. So,
Right.
it'll work.
I got it budgeted.
Yeah. And for my birthday, I got the biggest gift which was a Blue Eddy 180 power station.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like
Wow.
1,100 watts that
Yep.
can kick up to 1,800 watts.
Is that what Evan had, our son?
Hey, he's got a
Cancel
power cube. I forgot who makes it, but it's
Power
yeah.
cube.
Well, I mean, it's about
Yeah.
that square, but it'll last him pretty much a whole week.
Yeah,
of
that's
stuff. So.
well, but see, I want to be able to blow dry my hair.
Oh my gosh.
you do realize a typical hair dryer is
my gosh.
1,500 watts.
Yeah, I have to get
Well,
the
tell people
the
what you're
lowest range.
doing, because you're
Okay.
not getting a hotel, obviously.
No, so okay, so on my YouTube on my YouTube channel, I'm starting to play, or I started the playlist on the Road Intuitive, and I'm sharing, I'm pre-gaming, I'm sharing like what it's taken me to pull this together, to design my 2018 Toyota Sienna. To design this so that I am most comfortable. This is my third build on it, so I think I got what I want, how I want it. And but we'll see. You know, the test is when you're on the road. And for some reason, this cat comes into my life that is just an integral part of this road trip, which is
And adorable.
he's, oh my God, he's so fluffy. And I don't know if it's just to give me comfort along the
Right.
way, or but there's something about this cat. It's just I'm feeding off the energy.
We asked, what did the collective say?
That there was something about how I think that he's going to be a conduit with messages from the
Oh, right,
lyrics.
galactics. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
But he's not galactic, but he'll be a conduit.
Exactly.
Yes, that's right.
So there is, but there's a whole growth thing that he needs to go through, and to get to that point, to be able to hold the energy, do whatever he needs to do. So we're basically, so I don't have the money set aside. I'm working from the road. I'm going to live or die by this. So I'm just trusting. And things are becoming very, very clear about how I'm doing this. Like, one thing I know I'm doing is a thing called On-Call Intuitive, where I'm going to let people have subscriptions where they can reach me via Voxer any day of the week.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be like, you got something coming up in your life, reach out. I'll help you work through the block and be able to release from it and move forward. So it's going to be this sort of subscription service. And
Wow.
I think I'm going to do Patreon. I don't know yet, but so I'm actively working, and I'm going to be sharing this experience of what this is like. Because so many people, they want to do this.
Yeah.
But they have all these fears.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that's behind it. I mean, logistically and also just
Right.
mentally behind it. Yeah.
Well, and then I made the mistake. I'm sure y'all have seen, the Netflix, one of the top things out there right now, because we were all curious about it, is the Gabby Petito story.
Oh, I don't know.
It has nothing to, except for the fact that she's on the road.
Oh.
It has nothing to do with what I'm doing.
And she was
but
murdered,
she was,
I guess.
yeah, with her boyfriend.
okay.
And so, it's kind of like, you don't watch movies about airline disasters before you take
Before
a
you
flight.
fly, or have them on the plane with you while you, right.
Yeah, it's just kind of a no-go, because your mind creates
Sure.
what it sees, and so this is all about not overcoming, but releasing from the fears.
Yeah,
It is like me getting down to a very clear state of my beingness.
Yeah.
And embracing who I am, discovering who I am. And it's not that I need to go through trial and error and that kind of stuff, but it's to quiet everything around me
Yeah.
and then be a source. And this is part of it. It's to be a source, an active source, while I'm on the road, connecting with people, connecting with my community. So it's
Yeah.
not me going on a solo journey, which is what I thought it was.
Right.
So that's what I said. Each thing keeps kind of rolling itself out, saying, this is how it's going to be. This is the, construction. Like, now I'm completely revamping my whole website down to basically a page and very linear focused.
Yeah.
So like, all of this has just been a major shift.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm very fortunate because I've got a husband who, he gets it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was able to show you guys, you got to get into astrology. Seriously.
I think they probably are. Many of them are.
Well, our good friend Suzanne, yes, you've been mentioned
Oh.
now.
Oh, here we
Can
go
we ever
again.
get through a whole show without mentioning her?
We're going to have to start putting her in the
Such a part of
credits.
our- yeah,
The one-
really.
The one who should not be named.
So she's really helped encourage me to understand, the significance, not just, okay,
Right.
these are your placements, but why your placements are where they
Yeah.
are. So I sat down with my husband, like, all of my stuff, I didn't realize how Pisces I am, and everything's in Pisces, and it's all about
But you think
this.
you're Aries. I mean, your main.
Yeah, I'm very fiery, but
Yeah.
yet all of this stuff is in Pisces. And so it's all about being in that spiritual space. But then my North Node is communication, Gemini. So it's about sharing this information that is, like it's so specific. So then I take Rob's astrological chart and I show him his North Node, which is also did I say this right? His North, my North Node's not in Pisces. My North Node's in Gemini.
Yeah.
His North Node is in Pisces. So the opposite is Virgo.
Oh.
So he still, and so your South Node, listen to me talking like, I know what I'm talking about. Suzanne's like, now you know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah,
I'm
now
like,
now you know enough to start charging people. Right.
So the South Node is what you've mastered. So it's what you're comfortable. You kind of fall back to that.
Yep.
And that's my husband. He's just very like, I know this. This is how you do things. This is, and it's like you almost have no breathing room because of it. But he's supposed to be mastering going into Pisces, and trusting, having that faith and trusting going into the illusion.
Yeah.
And he's always been an amazing manifester. Now I know why, because that's the skill set he's going into.
Yep.
And so I explained how we've crossed here.
Yeah.
And I pulled up some stuff and showed him, you're doing this vicariously through me.
Yeah.
Like you want to be a part of it, but you don't feel comfortable. You're not, and it's okay. I explained all this to him. So if he watches this, he's like, yep, she's right. That, he's in this kind of support role because he's not willing to step out. So he's
Right.
going to do it kind of from the sidelines.
Yep.
And he's like, yep, I see that. And so now it's a whole joke. Like, he'll get something for me or do something for me related to the trip. And he's just like, yep, here's your support staff, It's just, so I'm very fortunate that I have someone who's getting this and understanding it. And never would I have thought that. I mean,
Wow.
this is all, you talk about it being ordained or divine timing and
Right.
all of that. It simply must be.
Yeah, I mean, it's a paradigm shift that's taking place. I mean, it's, not to get too deep into the weeds, but I mean,
Go deep.
From conversations we've had, in the past to where we are today. And that's a significant move forward for him to, be in that spot. So that's amazing. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. So,
Well, I just never know
Right.
what is on somebody's path or what their contract holds for them.
right.
Exactly. And for any of y'all that were, we heard all the big thing about, what is it, Cancer, the cardinal signs, Cancer, Libra, Aries, and Capricorn, I believe, that we all, we came out, and you heard me mention this before, we had the 16 years in the desert, and we've all come out of that in October. That's how I phrase it.
Okay.
But it's those 16 transformative years, and there was a lot of transformation and growth. And so he felt, I mean, it was great to be able to talk about it because he felt that too.
Okay.
And that's been part of that big shift and
Gotcha,
awareness. But
gotcha.
you're right. You never know until it's upon you. You don't really understand how your path is guiding you.
And that's also why it's so important for you to follow your guidance and not be dependent upon somebody else, whether it's a partner, a child, a friend, or whatever. But if you keep orchestrating your life around them, you're going to keep kicking the can down the
You're
road.
circumnavigating your own path.
Yeah.
And
So
it's-
once you do what
Exactly.
you're supposed to do, even if that relationship breaks, you'll feel okay because you know that you're divinely guided.
Yeah.
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 And it's
Yeah.
like you have to, like that, maybe I'm just so finely attuned to that drive in me now, but it is so strong that it's like my car could break down and I would find a way around it.
Yeah.
It would don't happen.
But see, I think a lot of your husbands, transition into these new concepts and these new understandings is the shift that you've made in yourself with the strength that you've taken on. Because you really,
it
you've
reverberates
really
out
have
there.
come into a place of divine strength and knowing who you are and knowing what you want for yourself. And in that gives him some comfort to know that everything is okay. And he can now take a little breath and start looking around instead of being hyper-focused in one little area. It's the blinders are coming off and you can start to see really, okay, well, this is how things are lining up. This is why this took place. And so,
Lots of growth happening.
Well, I feel like I'm a poster child for other marriages where, because I hear this, two things I hear so much. One is, this whole thing about, the person being drawn to the spiritual, that
Yep.
it's usually the wife being drawn to the spiritual, and then the husband just resisting, being really grounded in 3D and all that stuff. And or you just take the spiritual out of it. One person is open, expanding, and growing, and the other one is fine right where they are.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Heels dug in, right? Just to be complacent. Yeah.
so I get how to move through that now. But I wouldn't have been able to explain that to people had I not actively been going through it.
Yeah.
The other one.
That's another lesson real quick before you move
Go
on.
for it,
'cause
go for it.
You're hitting some nuggets.
You really are. Yeah.
Which is a lot of times we have to go through that shit first because we're going to teach other people how to go through that later, whether it's an illness or a relationship problem or drug abuse, whatever it is.
Anything.
You go through it, you heal from it, and then that's kind of your mission. It
your
doesn't mean that it has
catalyst,
to be.
catalyst to be a mission
Yeah.
moving forward.
And
yeah.
it doesn't mean that my way is right, that I
Right.
made all the right decisions.
It's one perspective.
Yeah,
But you could at least support people because you understand what they're
Yeah.
dealing with.
Yeah.
exactly.
So your part 2 was
My part 2 is I can't tell you how many women, and I'm sure there's men, but it's just my avatar tends to be women.
Yeah.
That are, I did a tarot reading the other night. So for a party, a Mardi Gras party, and it was like so many people, one after the next. These women who had they're going through their transformative years. They're retiring. They're kind of figuring out what they're doing. They have no idea what they want to do. Like it is a blank wall. And normally I could say, well, what is it that really, just grabs you? You get excited whenever you think about it. And, granted, we're at a party.
They don't know.
But this is even clients that come to me. They're just like, I don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
And, there's so much of this collective holding our breath
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like which way to go. And so those are the two things that, and I think it's all related to everything that we're experiencing, this whole shift that
Yeah.
we're going through, because sounded like I said shit, but shift. But it's huge.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Yeah, and I will back to the beginning of that conversation about that whole aspect of wanting to do this journey and wanting to do this. I for a very long time, I don't know, maybe right from the beginning of our awakening, I've had always just below the surface this itch to just like, I don't know, go to.
sell it all and
Yeah, or just by myself, just go to India or go to somewhere and spend a month or 2 or whatever, just to immerse myself into just the whatever it is.
find yourself.
I
Right.
could see you doing that.
Right, but I've never acted on it just because, well, I have a lot of obligations. You know what I mean? So it's
And that's
so
where we find ourselves at midlife.
right, and it just came back up again, and we'll get into that. And so it's but it came back up in a different way, and so we'll talk about that because it leads into one of our other topics that we're going to talk about.
And one thing I wanted to say about, like you said, people in midlife, that's the midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Right? But then also people facing retirement and they don't know what to do. And part of the reason they don't know what to do is because they don't know who they are. So
Very
it's
good.
hard to be something when you don't you haven't spent time with yourself yet. So all of your life, you've been in this particular role that other people have designed for you, whether that's mother or wife or employee, and you just do those things, soccer mom, and you just do that stuff. Then when that ends and the kids, this is why also when the kids fly the coop and you're sitting there with your spouse, it's like, do we even like each other? So it's about,
Who are you?
it's always about going back within and finding out who you are and then tapping in to those joys or those things that excite you or the things that lit you up that give you clues about your contract, about why you're here.
I mean, I will, and I would imagine you'll agree with me on this, that
Maybe not.
if
Dare you speak
If
now?
I'm feeling contrary.
if we hadn't gone through that awakening period in 2018 moving forward, because that was right on the cusp of, or right around the time period of Natalie and Evan both,
Well, they were
exiting school and
early
everything else.
high school.
Right, right. So it was right around that time period. So at that point, empty nest would have set in, and we would have been that couple looking at each other like, okay, really? Because as much as we love each other, it's just like, okay, now what do we do?
Yeah.
what do we do?
Well,
It's almost like PTSD.
Yeah.
I mean, because you've gone through the whole staying up late, taking care of the kids, figuring out everything, trying to guide them. And then all of a sudden you're just like,
all the air's out of the balloon and you're like, what do we do?
yeah.
I've said this a lot. People who know me have heard this, that I wasn't looking forward to empty nest. I loved being a family. I loved being a parent. I loved having kids around the dinner table. We ate dinner together almost every night. Mm-hmm. We did vacations together. We did everything was together. And I enjoyed that. And I couldn't imagine what my life would look like without that. And he's like, yay, we finally have some
Because
freedom.
That's right. But then now I'm realizing, because even like I, Evan still has a footprint in the house, even though he's out doing a lot of things over extended periods of time. He still has a footprint here. And today it dawned on me, because I needed something. And I'm like, oh, wait, I know he'll have it. Like I was looking for a little piece of
Or
Velcro,
he can help you do something.
little sticky piece of Velcro, right? Because I know I don't have any anywhere. But I was like, so I ran down to the house because I was doing something up here. And I ran down to the house. Hey, Evan, you got any Velcro? And it was like, yeah, he's got it all organized. So I'm like, it's it's almost like having like a I don't know.
Like a roommate that's helpful.
Right, exactly.
But it's more than that, because
is.
it's fun getting to know your kids when they're adults.
Yeah.
And it's fun to have those kinds of conversations.
Yeah.
So my conversation with my son today was, how do I get the pee out of the mattress topper that his cat had peed on his bed last night?
Baking soda and water.
And I'm kind of going, well, we have my pet peed, which is awesome.
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
But I'm kind of like, you can't figure this one out. Like, you need mom for this one. But anyway, but seeing them like understand the world through their lens. Do you realize where those people, like, when we were young, we were like, our parents don't get us. They're like, they're just, and now we're those people that, like.
Oh, I didn't get my mom or my grandmother until I left the house, and then we moved in together, and I was like, hey, Mom, what do I do about this? Hey, Mom, what about,
Speed dial.
3 or 4 times a week. Like, how do I cook
His
this?
mother
How do
was
I do
sending
this?
him recipe books and of all the foods they used to eat. And all this
And now
stuff.
Natalie's kind of the same way. So she'll just text me, hey, look,
How do you make this?
how do you do this? Or how do you make
What's
this
grandma's
thing?
rib recipe?
Right.
last-
and it just
the
warms
last
my
thing.
heart, because it is that moment that that they're out on their own, and they know they have a resource somewhere, and they're really
I still need you.
and they still need you, but they're taking care of their own life, and that's the beauty in it. So
Yeah.
So Samantha's going away, but not till April.
I'm going away.
Going away.
Going away.
I'm
Wow.
going
She's
on
on a
a
sojourn.
journey. Okay.
Sojourn.
Yeah. A vision quest.
A vision quest.
And
Sharpen your
we are
spirit.
taking vacation over spring break
Yeah.
to go to
Las
Vegas.
Vegas.
But not because of the slots or any of that. I mean, it's fun to see that at night, and I've been there before, I've seen it, but it's fun to go out. It's a very nice area to hike and do things like that,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of
I want to go out. I do
Nature.
want to see if we can get out towards Area 51. So, not get picked up by anybody.
If we don't come back, it's because the government has us.
Right. If the episodes just stop, you'll know why.
Anyway, so we thought, because you're going to be out west, and so we thought it might be fun, you might see this, that we kind of zoom
can
in
meet
together
up.
or meet up
We
together.
collab. We
and we do
collab.
it out in the field,
Right.
out
That
on
would
a
be
limb,
interesting.
but out in the field.
Does that mean I got to bring equipment?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, you bring a laptop.
Oh yeah,
I'll have my
that.
laptop.
I'll have my laptop too. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out the logistics.
Yeah.
So we might be on the road, shooting podcasts from the road. I don't know. So
Sitting on a sand dune out in Las Vegas.
always an
somewhere.
adventure with us.
Yes.
All right. So what else did we want to talk about? Well, we probably a couple of episodes ago, you saw Becky Crowell,
Yep.
the flower essence woman, just a lovely person.
Oh my gosh. We were all just like,
Well,
your
so
review
And the art,
was-
she's an artist.
the paintings you see behind her, the video that you're watching does not do it justice.
Right.
When
Oh,
you,
really? It didn't?
Oh my!
Yeah.
No, I mean when you walk into so she has
a
her
little
studio
studio.
in her house. I mean the colors just like smack
And
you
I
in the
love
face.
colors.
She
like
walked
that.
us, she did a tour
Yeah.
through our house, and we were
After the
just like,
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
But it's
Yeah.
nice to see in person. But at any rate, if you haven't watched that
you guys
episode,
went
watch
there.
that episode.
What's
We
that?
went there
You
for
went there.
sessions.
Oh yeah.
So we felt called afterwards to go to a session and just to see what comes up in terms of her tapping into our Akashic record and also the flower essence.
Yep.
So we want to share with you how that went. So
Cool.
mine was a week ago, and yours was just
Friday.
a couple days ago.
Yeah, just a couple days ago.
So it was interesting because as I was talking to her during the interview, some things were popping up about what I might want to see her about. Because a lot of times I don't have an agenda for my healing work or my whatever. I'll go to and I don't, tell me if you like this kind of thing. When a practitioner comes and says, I don't have an agenda, tell me what you got. Or do you prefer somebody to have don't you like some questions up front?
Yeah, I like when people have an intent, then I know,
It's
I know
easier to
what
dial
focus.
in.
Yeah, exactly.
And some practitioners like you to be just open and flexible so that they can tap in and give you what they want. So she's kind of like that too. She didn't mind. So anyway, we went in and we tapped in and my guides came through, which was very powerful. I'm not going to get into all of that. And then we did Reiki at the end, which was nice. And what I realized is, I may not think I need a lot of work, but it is so nice to receive. And you miss that feeling if you don't do it very often. And Will and I just don't do it enough. We need to do it more. But just laying on the table and knowing I don't have to do it, just to receive this love and this loving energy, it was so nice. I really enjoyed it. And then in the middle of those two things, we did the flower essence. And the way sometimes I got the feeling that sometimes she'll listen to your guides or your higher self and pick, I guess for us, she picked 6. Did you get 6?
No.
How many did you get?
Of the tincture one, of the mix?
For the small tincture.
I have no idea how many. I can't
You don't know how
remember.
many she put in?
4, I think.
Did you pick cards for that?
No.
Oh, okay. So in Will's,
My session was
completely,
completely, my session was different. She intuitively, as we went through the process, she intuitively was taking notes of which ones she knew needed to mix.
So sometimes she does that.
Yeah.
But in my case, I guess my guides were saying they wanted me to pick.
You just needed more.
Right, I guess. More support. So anyway, she has these cards. They kind of look like oracle cards, and they represent each of the flower essences that she uses to make the tincture. And they have the picture of the flower, and she knows intuitively what they're for after having used them so long. So we shuffle them out, and I pick up 2, and she tells me what they're for. And then as she's telling me that, we're realizing how it relates to what we just talked about and how it could support me, right? So then her guide said, or my guides told her, pick 2 more. So I picked 2 more. We did the same thing. And then she's like, thinking, are we done? They said, no, do 2 more. So
I can just see them going, nope, that doesn't do it yet.
Keep going.
Exactly.
You're gonna have like 27 of them in there.
Did she look at you like, wow, I don't usually have people
She
meeting
didn't.
6?
So she put on her game face. She did not do that to me. So anyway, so then she makes it up and she wrote it down. So I guess she keeps a log of that. in
Yeah,
case
she does.
I
She
needed
keeps it in
another.
her paperwork. Yeah.
And I guess this will last about a month. She said if you do 2 to 3 sprays, 3 to 5 times a day is what I think she told me.
Yep.
But not only that, then, and this is not a plug. I mean, if you feel called, get a session because she can do that
Remotely.
and maybe she would mail these. I don't know how that works. I'm just telling you this because we've never had a session like this before, and it was really neat, and it was just so valuable.
Yep.
And so I just want to share it. I'm not getting a kickback. But then she gets a mantra from my higher self and a phrase that it goes with. And so
She's connecting with your Akash too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so my phrase was, I open to the depths of my being and I live my soul out loud. It's Hala Maha Matiha. So it's really so valuable to have all of those tools to help yourself. And
What
then
does out loud look like for you?
it means embodying it and being it in every moment.
You're so
I'm already loud.
measured. No,
Oh.
you need to be loud.
Out loud?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Out
In
loud.
control, measured, that was part of it, control. Kuan Yin's been working with me with this idea of control.
Yep.
So that's what I went in with too. But I guess the company that she works with, what is this company called? Lotus, do you say we or Y or I don't know.
I don't know.
What is it?
LOTUSWEI,
that's
Lotus Way. Okay. So she had a lot of these types of pre-made ones, and she sometimes will be drawn to use them during Reiki or whenever. So she used 3 different ones with me at different points during the 2-hour session, and narrowed it down to 2 that she thought I could benefit from. And there's no obligation, of course. And when she read what they were for, I just gravitated towards this one. It was Wild Abundance, and it's an aura mist. You just spray it around.
Yeah.
For prosperity, divine beauty, and this is the best. Magic in everyday life. And I'll tell you what, 2 days after starting to use this,
The magic was happening.
it really was. And every day there's been this neat little miracle, like nothing earth
I
shattering,
want that.
but neat little miracles, like an intersection with somebody or this cool thing that pops up. It was really neat. So I'm really digging this spray. Matter of fact, I'm gonna.
It's almost like angels on your body. There you go.
Now you remind
Yeah, but I want.
you
I
remind
was
me.
going to mess up my hair. Oh my gosh.
It smells
nice?
good. You remind me of our chakra video that we play when we're in.
Oh yeah.
For
That's
our Reiki
funny.
class.
We have a video we use in our Reiki level 2 class, and the woman is a little bit
Over the top.
She's over the top, excitable. Yeah. Good valuable
I think I'll just
information.
a little spritz.
And she's like, very. It's funny.
Well, so with that other Bach flower.
Yeah.
Is she just putting a few drops of
Yeah,
Bach
so she
flower
has-
within it because it carries the
She
frequency?
has right. She
Yes.
has this the whatever the
carrier.
the carrier in there.
And you can either use alcohol if you don't like alcohol.
Right.
You use, I don't know, some sort of distilled water, maybe. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. So then she's just putting what she feels
Right,
is
and then
the right amount.
and then a certain
Right.
amount of drops, and
And then you're spraying it in your mouth.
yeah, so 3 to 5
Just
times a
make
day.
sure.
I don't get those two mixed
Yeah. Because there are those mornings, where you just kind of go,
Because I don't know
Will you
what's,
grab the hand lotion instead of the toothpaste? Yeah.
I've done it.
I don't know what's in
Oh,
here.
Done it.
I would hope it wouldn't hurt
No,
me,
I
but
don't think it
know.
would.
I don't know.
But see, I'm very ADD.
And I mean, and as you know, her Allison session was much more different than mine, or I guess you could say, hello, English, I can't speak. My session was much more different than hers
How so?
in every way. We didn't do Reiki because she didn't feel as if that was a necessary tool, I guess you could say. And as we're connecting into the Akash, oddly enough, she said, "There's an alien here. There's an alien being here."
Right,
And,
right.
right. And it was, and she said, "It's a gray." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know who that is. That's my Zeta. That's
Oh, that's
my
right, I've heard
that's
it.
my parallel." And so we discussed that for a little bit, and my connection to my Zeta is he's my technical advisor. So anything that I need technical advice on, like fixing something, doing something, he always gives me that download, right? So it came into reference for this is because like if this was a really, and this isn't bad, but if it was really airy-fairy of, well, you just got to be in your heart and you got to be, that kind of information, I don't lock into that very well.
You don't know how
I need
to
steps,
implement that.
right?
Yeah.
So this was a bit more process-oriented of how I go about this, releasing these things and doing different things that I brought up. So it was very good. It was a very, very good session for sure. And then the one, so like I said, you pull cards. She was taking notes the whole time as we were talking. And she said, here are the ones that I feel, and I think she listed 4 or 5, maybe even 6. And I think she narrowed it down to 4 that we needed. And then mixed it in here. And mine, the mantra, but I didn't get a cool little phrase at the end.
The mantra is the.
Well, this is the mantra that
okay.
So I am liberated from all resistance. I claim this truth now. And so that's what I've always struggled with is inner resistance, I guess you could say, and alleviating those aspects of myself that hold me back. So that's really where this essence is for. And then we went to the cabinet and she picked out 3 and then immediately set one down and we were left with 2. And as as she's reading the, and I have a hard time reading this myself.
Because it's kind of dark in
Yeah.
here.
Stand by. Got to put on different glasses, even though those got bifocals in them. Let's see here. Maybe I can't read that. Openness
goodness.
to the truth, unthinkable freedom, and graceful navigation.
We can do this. As
Yeah,
a
there
team.
you go.
Graceful navigation.
Yeah, the
I
graceful
like that.
navigation is the one. And this one's called awakened perception. And immediately as we're talking about these, talking about this particular one because it's infused with copper hydrosol. So
That's interesting.
and it's interesting because, that is interesting because I had to repair one of my bracelets and I was thinking I have raw copper chunks. I want to make one that has a raw copper chunk in the middle of it. Anyway, so maybe copper is needed
Maybe
right
it's
now.
drawing.
Right.
Yeah,
But so before I do any of my sessions up here, any of my client sessions up here, I set the room and I usually have Palo Santo that I work with and clear the room and do my little mantra over it, my own personal mantra, not this one. And but I immediately saw myself replacing that Palo Santo with this and using this to clear and set the room and really infuse that
Interesting.
session. So yeah,
Cool.
so it was a great session for sure. And then she wanted to talk about my tattoo because she was fascinated by my tattoo and then this one here that I have. And then she's like,
Which reminds me, because this is the Merkaba.
Yeah.
And we had a client session recently who Metatron comes in for a lot of our client sessions and says, envision the Merkaba around you, and it's a healing kind of chamber thing.
Yeah.
It's surprising to me how many people don't know what a Merkaba is. So if you don't know what a Merkaba is,
I never knew until I
go
knew.
look it up. Look up Metatron's, in Metatron's cube and sacred geometry, but the Merkaba specifically. And I don't remember when we did our sacred geometry one, if we talked about that.
Yes, we did.
we did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
because we had the little thing.
Yep.
So it's basically a 3D Star of David. You've seen a flat Star of David, but it's a
That's
3D.
Metatron's cube.
Right.
Merkaba is the
Okay, yeah,
flat plane, the sacred geometry piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Wait.
Keep going.
I did not know that distinction.
Yeah, so the three-dimensional actual tangible thing is Metatron's cube. That is derived from all of the intersections within the Merkaba. The Merkaba is the two-dimensional plane
So when
image.
you're being
Which
told
really
to
isn't.
envision the Merkaba around you, you're at the dead center,
Yeah.
but it's more on
It's-
a 2D
yeah.
plane rather
Well,
than.
there's
No,
this-
it's multidimensional.
Oh,
It's
it's multidimensional.
multidimensional.
Okay.
It is.
All right.
So what were you going to say about your tats that she was asking about?
No, she was looking at him because I forgot what the whole conversation was, but then she said, because you'll hear about it in that, or you would have heard about it in the interview, is that she does soul portraits. She said, wouldn't it be fascinating to do your soul portrait, or maybe the both of yours? And I'm like, ooh.
Yes, it would be.
It would be.
I can't
Yeah.
even begin to imagine.
Imagine, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think our two could fit on one.
Right.
Thingamabob.
It would have to be an entire wall. I mean, so.
That would be
Yeah,
fascinating.
but it was a fascinating session. If you're listening to this and you feel drawn, again, we're not getting any kickback. We're not pushing her stuff. We're just putting it out there for awareness.
And she's just one of the people that
Yeah.
resonated with
Yeah,
y'all,
I
and
mean,
she's
and-
local. And you
I'm just not
went for
sure
it, yeah.
if she mails these on the regular. And this was a good reason why I enjoyed the session so much, was learning about these and
Well, she must. I
and
mean,
getting some of
yeah.
those.
So you can, if anything, you can reach out to her and see what she does. So.
Yep. All right. So what else? Okay. We did a channeling not too long ago, and there were a couple of things that popped up. One was karma. And what the collective said was that karma in 5D no longer exists the way we understand karma. And I don't recall if we've talked about this before. This wasn't new to me necessarily, but it seems to be new to a lot of people. But what happens is that once you become aware in this 5D awareness, you have access to all of that. So you have access to all those past lives and you can dip into them for the learning. So it isn't that you have to have karma and come in and keep playing these roles back and forth to learn it that way, because you just have access immediately as you need it, because that's the point of 5D. We're not going anywhere. It's just we're expanding into greater levels of awareness as we go through these different dimensions. So that was kind of interesting. Were you familiar with that concept, or?
Yeah, no, it's just the way you said that. Say the quote again.
I don't know the quote.
Well, you said that we won't be doing it the way that we used to, and then I was kind of
Yes.
going,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
doesn't mean it totally goes away, but then you explained it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I find that interesting. No, that just feeds into the experience that I've been learning that, or integrating. So that makes complete
Well,
sense.
what it is when you're in 3D, you come in with these karmic issues that are energetically stuck there that you might have to cut cords later. And a lot of people don't realize this, but that cause you to do things or cause you to have triggers about things, right? So you have these energetic influences that are unconscious
Yeah.
that you don't understand. That's not going to happen in 5D. So it won't work the same way. So in 5D, you're going to have an awareness of any of these things that you want to learn from, and you aren't automatically, it's not automatically influencing your life
Right.
in a way that you aren't aware. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You don't carry the burden into the next dimension.
Correct.
Yeah.
There you
Well, and thus why I guess there's so many people in this experience who are tying up the whole
Yeah.
karmic, ancestry
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. And it's
digging deep into it so they can shed it and get
Yeah.
rid of it.
Yeah, it's like once you get to a certain point with a client, and it's like, well, it's not this and it's not this and it's not that. And then it's like that light bulb goes off. And so then you ask their guides and it's like, oh yeah, this is,
Yeah.
You're pretty, actually, I had one of the clients that I met with doing tarot. I try to be really good about not letting my empathic emotions out. And when I did her reading, it was like, that's the last one for the night. I never took a break. I went 4 hours, never took a
Wow.
break. It was
Wow.
like one, I mean,
Boom,
it was,
boom,
the
boom, boom,
energy
boom.
was
Yeah.
incredible. But this particular individual, she let me see her soul.
Wow.
I mean, it was so insane. And I can't say anything about her story or anything, but just to say she's a master, a master of this lifetime and wrapping up these karmic ties. And it's like, she doesn't know,
realize that she's a master.
but the moment I started talking about it, she was like
Yeah.
you could see that inside knowingness, I got it now.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it just clicked. And, and I tried, and I literally had tears coming out of my eyes because I'm just kind of going, oh my God, when we get to meet someone like that who has taken on
Yeah.
full force the brunt of all of this shit, and they're actively integrating and releasing from it within this lifetime, it's insane. It is amazing.
And to that point, I'm glad you brought that up. A month or two ago, the title is Purposeful Division, I think, on the monthly channeling. And they were talking about the masters versus the students, remember? And they were saying that the masters are the ones that are going to go through Ascension first, and that those folks would not be people that you would think were masters. Some you might think are nefarious. Mm-hmm. Some might be homeless people who don't look like they have it together. But these are masters who came here purposefully to show us the way, whether it was show us not how to go down that path, or whether it was to show us how to exude compassion for people that you meet on the street or whatever. So yeah, they brought up, when I asked for clarity about this idea that masters would be ascending
And
first.
that's the thing, when people, they discount, people who are nefarious, negative, whatever, loud, whatever you want to say, and they label it, that's bad, and okay,
Yeah.
morally, or whatever, in this age and time, it could have been a long time ago that person wasn't, they were brilliant, but in this particular setting, but it takes a master to be able to, because you got to realize they're assuming that role.
Right.
The soul
Right.
is all loving, all pure, all good. And so they are literally putting on the mantle, whether it was from World War II and one, I'm not going to
Yeah.
say the name because I
Yeah.
decided I'm not saying the name anymore.
Yeah. But any of those
villains, I remember, in fact, this really struck me one time. I was listening to a channeling of an afterlife interview with the guy who did, it's still going on. What is that called?
One of the cults, you mean?
Yeah. Who just recently, it was several years back, the guy, he wrote the book, and all these books, and then
Not Dianetics.
You mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
From
Hubbard, L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, L. Ron
Scientology.
Hubbard. So it was
Scientology. Yeah.
It was an interview with L. Ron Hubbard, and he explained that his purpose was, that it was to come here and see how far people would allow their sovereignty to be pushed.
Yeah.
Like how much were they willing to give up? And he said, so as the human aspect of me, I was always surprised when people would allow me to do whatever. And then I would just go to the next level. And it was the people allowing him to take charge that unfolded that whole path.
Right. And again, we're not victim blaming, but it does
No.
put a different spin on it in terms of it's not about them doing something to you. It's about you allowing this interaction, right?
Well, my
So
mom says people treat you how you let them treat you.
we get that there are times when people do things that you don't have
Yeah.
any control over. We understand all of that, and it's
Yeah.
complicated. So please understand that there's two different perspectives. There's the higher source perspective and there's the 3D perspective, and both are real, and we have to function within both. So it doesn't mean that this is okay from this realm, right? Yeah, so there was a lot of learning.
Concepts there. Wow.
I want to get to 2.5 more things.
Okay.
2.5 more things.
The other thing that we channeled about was this parade of planets that happened
Yep.
maybe last month from the time that you're seeing this, when they were all in a row. Do you remember that? And some people were saying it happens all the time on schedule. As
It's just
the
planets?
Yeah. It happens as it's not a big deal. And then other people were saying it is a really big deal. So I asked the collective,
I
and
guess it's from your perspective.
Yeah.
sure.
It's not a big deal if it's not a big deal to you.
And it is on a timeline thing. I mean, it does happen if Earth keeps spinning and the galaxy, all the planets within the galaxy rotate like they're supposed to, then every so many years it is going to line up like that. We understand that. But they said that it was a cascading frequency. So, for example, the outermost planet has its own frequency, and that cascades into the next planet, which has its own frequency, and it is cumulative, and then it moves down to the next and the next and the next, causing a symphony of frequencies is what they called that. Now, they said that this harmonic, when it comes to Earth, can be disruptive, but it isn't meant to be harmful, but it can be disruptive as it tries to resonate with your body, and your body may not accept it readily at first. The same way, they said, when you're trying to interact with a galactic being who's coming down, lowering their frequencies, and you're raising your frequency, and it has to adjust to their frequency, and so it can be uncomfortable. So they did explain it that way. They said that our planet is infused with a galactic vibrational force.
Is that when the did that coincide with the Schumann resonance being off the chart?
It
was
kind
a
of was right around.
24-hour
It was
period?
right. Yeah, it was right before it. I think. Yeah, it was or right in that time
So I
zone.
don't know if
yeah.
any of you caught that the Schumann resonance.
It kind of went off the chart. Yeah.
Yeah, but for 24 hours. Like
Yeah.
it was a very specific
Yeah.
period of time. Then I thought that was
Wow.
And I think it was
Interesting.
very end of February, very beginning of March, maybe, is when this was happening.
Yes.
I have it.
Yes.
screenshot, but
do you?
I won't pull it up. Yeah.
So
But
that
yeah,
was
it
interesting.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are interested in the planets and all of that and how it affects Earth, but also how much do you want to say? We've talked about the Sophia Code before. I went through it's a book by Kaya Ra. You're welcome to get that. But I find that it's really valuable when you do it in groups. Particularly, it's about the divine feminine, and men can do that, of course, because we need to come into balance. But it's also nice to do it with your feminine counterparts, your friends.
It'd be interesting to have a group of guys
Would be.
do that.
If they could be vulnerable enough, because those masters are willing to guide
Sure.
men as well, of course they
Yeah,
are.
that would be, I think that they would be more willing, do you think? Actually, let me ask you, do you think they'd be more willing if it was a group of men rather than a group of men with one woman in it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be easy. It would be easier to open up and share, but it's again,
If it was all men.
But also, and not that I've guided a lot of men's groups. I don't think I have at all. But what I would say is, even at that, as coming from a man's perspective, you hold that reserve pretty close. So you have to. You'd really have to have the bonds made
Trust.
right. The bonds made before even starting the class, so that you could be entrusted with
Interesting.
anybody's emotion that's going to be
And women
present.
are more used to doing that on the regular.
Right.
Holding
The
each
nurturing
other's
aspect,
emotion.
right? The nurturing
Yeah.
aspect of it, yeah.
But at any rate, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, for myself,
interesting.
I know I could integrate with either and show because I feel fairly balanced in both, so I can, if I need to lean heavy into the divine feminine and be there, I know I can, and
Yeah.
that there's no problem in that.
That's
so,
cool to know that.
yeah.
But when I went through this, and I think I talked a little bit about it on the show, with a group there were 4 of us, and we did 8 weeks. It's an initiation in each chapter with 8 of the divine feminine masters. It was super powerful, and you come out the other side amazingly different, evolved, changed. I don't know, hopeful, upgraded, more powerful, strengthened, balanced, all of those things. And they really show themselves. They let you know that they are present with you, literally, coming from somebody who doesn't always sense that kind of thing.
Right.
So you just went through that and you're finishing up.
Yes.
What would you like to share, if anything, about your experience?
There is so much, but I would say it's very deceptive because, realize there are mystery schools all over the place. And this is a mystery school that has been put into a book. And I'm quoting Suzanne, so I have to reference you. That's available on Amazon. It's like crazy. It's like,
Right.
But the thing is, I'm sure there are a lot of people that have picked up this book and tried to read it, kind of like, A Course in Miracles.
Right.
Yeah,
try
yeah.
to read it and apply it and all that kind of stuff. And I could see people reading it and getting nowhere with it.
Right.
I think it would be very challenging to reach the heights if you don't have that nudge, that intention, that burning desire, and if you're not doing it within a group. I just think that there is, because when you start to hear other people's perception and you're like, okay, this next one I go into, I'm going to carry this particular awareness. And, and there's things I could say, but I'm not going to say, because it's like, the realizations I had after the last one, I was like, oh my God. And there's a part 2 coming out.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know what else they can cover. Cause I couldn't understand after was Isis the first and then Hathor. And just from the very first chapter, I'm kind of going, what's left to be done?
Right.
Like she literally undoes
Covers it all right there.
yeah, everything that you perceive are the boundaries of your reality that lock you in. And that's like when you're on the roller coaster and you feel that first woo, and like you grab hold of the rails and just go like that. And then the rest continues.
And the momentum continues. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just,
So if you feel called, you'll know, and grab a few of your friends and go for it.
I think
don't
I'm going to
think-
lead a group.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just to create that space. I think I'm going to do that because I'm, the realizations that my body just got so warm.
See?
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's like crazy. Like I feel like I'm on fire.
Yeah.
It was just such an amazing experience.
Cool.
God, look.
I know.
Whew.
Right?
That was like incredible.
Neat.
It's
Well,
Kuan
good.
Yin.
You're
That's
getting
Kuan Yin
confidence.
setting you on fire again.
I guess. Well, and when you talk about it being, that thing where you feel them there.
Oh, yeah.
And, I don't sit, like, I have a lot of resistance to religious figures and all that kind of stuff. And I'd sit there and go, I know nothing about this person. I know nothing. And then all of a sudden I'd realize, oh my God, this person's been a part of my life. This mentor has been a part of my life.
Been there all along.
I've been saying their mantra for like 3 years, like.
But they don't want you to know them from that construct. They want you
Yes.
to feel their energy and know them as an eternal energy.
Right.
The
It's-
construct gets in the way a lot.
They become, you realize you're on the same level with them, that you are one of them, that they are your dearest, closest ally and friend. Like it's just breaks through all those barriers that we've made, that set us apart, that make us feel tiny.
Yeah.
Those are gone.
Well, the last thing we want to say is Happy Easter for those of you who celebrate Easter. And we have a special surprise.
Because this is
We have a special
really
guest.
religious-y. So
This is the Wednesday before Easter.
We have a special guest on set today.
I can't wait to hear this story. Oh my God.
This is my pee.
Did Will win that for you?
No.
That would be a good story.
Look at how the color has changed on the screen.
It made me look at that. It made me read.
Oh my God.
It just washed everything
is
out.
weird.
Yeah, it just washed everything
It's
out.
so bright and it's so fuzzy. And
Well, I
soft.
pulled him over here and the yellow was hitting me. So I said, and I had to have him out of the periphery of my vision.
Oh my
Okay, so
God.
the Peeps is going to host the show now. Can you hear me?
No.
He's going, ho, 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 ho.
Peeps is going to host the show. Okay. So what happened is, isn't it fun? It's fun.
Yeah, but
Okay.
look,
I drove home with this in my car. I have a two-seater. I drove home with it in my car, and it was hilarious. People loved it. He was sitting there like a person.
I think depending on the
Can you
season.
do me a favor of setting that beside? We'll put him over there. Put him back in his chair. Or you want to hold him?
He's squishy.
Oh,
all right.
It's like
so
when you say, I got my peeps.
Right.
correct. I don't even like Peeps. I hate Peeps, as a matter of fact. Those marshmallow Peeps.
I love
Yuck.
them.
They're
I
disgusting.
love them. We've had that discussion.
Tell us in the comments if
We
you
can go
like
back to our
Peeps.
candy
Ugh.
thing. Sorry.
Right. I was going to say
That-
we had that comment before.
That and those candy corns. Nasty. Okay. Anyway.
We'll refrain
last,
from discussing that one.
last Easter, we were walking around Walmart, and I think it was the Walmart in Virginia when we were on vacation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I saw that thing up there, and I was squishing it. It felt so good. I was like, I got to take this home. And he would not let me take this home. He's like, you don't need that thing. It's like a big pillow. You do not need it. We're not having it.
So soft.
So I left Walmart without my Peep. Well, I'm telling you,
And she vowed.
I haven't forgotten it. And they say, see if the urge goes away. And if it does, then you didn't need it, right? In a year, it did not go away. I kept talking to him about it. I'm getting one. He's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I went up to our local Walmart yesterday, and they had it out. I didn't go for that. I went for conditioner for my
That's
hair.
called an impulse buy.
Oh, it absolutely
And
is.
right on the main Easter row there was oh my gosh, and there were 2 yellow ones, and I was like, I gotta have it. So I grabbed it. I grabbed it, and it doesn't fit in a Walmart bag, obviously, right? So when I'm walking out, the little old man at the exit, can I see your receipt? I'm like, yeah, I'm not stealing it. He goes, well, if it doesn't fit in a bag, I got to look at your receipt. I'm like, okay, I understand. That is
Just
not
keeps coming
fitting
home
in a
with
bag.
me. I hate to take you down, mister.
Yeah. So I took a picture of it in my car. It was hilarious. And I sent it to my daughter. I said, don't tell your dad, but I just bought this Peep. So I parked it in the driveway when I got home yesterday. It was Friday. Backed in. And we went out to eat. I said, hey, can we take my car? He's like, sure. So he walks out and he sees this thing in my passenger seat. He's like, oh my gosh. Anyway, that was my Peep story. It was
Yeah.
funny. But
So happy Easter.
That's right. Happy Easter,
The
all.
true meaning of Easter.
have a Peep on me.
Right.
A yellow one at that.
That's right.
And wishing you all the best on this holiday weekend. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye.